There is a unique kind of strength that rarely makes headlines. It's the quiet strength of a woman who carries her pain in silence. This kind of strength reminds me of a tree rooted deeply in the ground, weathering storms without fanfare. It doesn't sway with every gust, and it doesn't fall apart under the weight of the rain. It stands firm, not out of stubbornness, but because its roots are securely anchored. In the same way, silent strength is deeply rooted in resilience, wisdom, and a quiet trust in God. In a world that often rewards loudness, public displays of emotion, and visible victories, a woman's silent strength can be overlooked. But as believers, we know that God values what is unseen as much as what is seen. Isaiah 30:15 reminds us, "In quietness and trust is your strength." The woman who carries her pain in silence embodies this verse, showing us that strength is not always about what we say or do, but about the grace with which we endure. Let's journey into the heart of a woman's silent strength and discover how it reveals courage, wisdom, and a profound way of connecting without words. Through her story, we'll see that strength doesn't always need a voice to be heard. But before we continue, please give this video a thumbs up and write in the comments, "God is my strength." Let us dive in. There is a remarkable strength in the quiet resilience of a woman who carries her pain without complaint. Her silence is not a lack of emotion or weakness, but a choice to endure life's hardships with dignity and grace. She refuses to allow her struggles to make her bitter, and that choice requires more courage than most people realize. In 1 Samuel 1, we find the story of a woman named Hannah, whose silent strength offers an extraordinary example of this courage. Hannah endured the heartache of infertility in a society where a woman's worth was often tied to her ability to bear children. Adding to her pain was the cruelty of her rival, Peninnah, who mocked her year after year. Hannah had every reason to lash out or let bitterness consume her, yet she chose a different path. She carried her sorrow quietly and poured her heart out to God in prayer. Instead of retaliating or seeking validation from others, she entrusted her pain to the one who truly understood. Her silence was not a sign of weakness. It reflected a deep trust in God's timing and faithfulness. She knew that shouting her struggles to the world would not bring her the peace she sought. Only in the stillness of prayer could she find the strength to endure. A woman who carries her pain in silence understands that there is something sacred about holding certain emotions close. Words can sometimes diminish the depth of an experience, reducing it to something less meaningful. She recognizes that her sorrow, though heavy, is part of something too profound for the world to fully grasp. In our modern culture, where loudness and visibility are often mistaken for strength, this quiet endurance may go unnoticed. People might wonder why she doesn't voice her pain or seek attention. What they fail to see is that her choice to remain silent is an act of immense courage. It reflects her decision to protect her heart and to bring her struggles to God rather than to the crowd. One of the greatest dangers for any woman carrying pain is the temptation to let it turn into bitterness. Bitterness often begins as a whisper, telling her that life is unfair, that others have it easier, or that she has been overlooked. If left unchecked, it can take root, clouding her heart and stealing her joy. The Bible warns about this in Hebrews 12:15, which says, "See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many." Bitterness doesn't just harm the woman who holds it. It can spread to her relationships, affecting how she interacts with those around her. But a woman with silent strength chooses a different path. She refuses to let bitterness define her. Instead, she seeks grace. In the midst of her pain, like Hannah, she pours her sorrow out before God, trusting Him to carry what she cannot. In doing so, She protects her heart from the destructive power of resentment. Silent strength doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It doesn't mean suppressing emotions or denying the reality of pain. Instead, it is a steady and intentional decision to endure with grace. A woman with this kind of strength may cry in the quiet of her room or whisper her prayers through tears. She may feel the weight of her burden deeply, but she chooses not to let it crush her spirit. Her silence is not an absence of feeling, but a shield against the chaos of the world, a space where she can process her pain without interference or judgment. Her strength is often misunderstood. People might see her calm demeanor and assume she is unbothered or stoic, but beneath the surface she is fighting battles that others cannot see. She feels deeply, but she knows that not all emotions need to be shared. Her choice to keep some struggles private is not about isolation. It is about protecting what is sacred. The courage of a woman who carries her pain in silence challenges the world's expectations. It calls into question the belief that strength must always be loud or visible. Her quiet endurance reminds us that some of the greatest acts of courage happen in the hidden corners of the heart, where no one else can see. Her example can inspire others to reframe how they think about resilience. Strength isn't always about speaking out or seeking validation. It can also be about finding peace in the stillness, trusting that God sees every tear and understands every unspoken word. The silent strength of a woman who carries her pain without bitterness is a reminder to all of us that we don't have to let our struggles define us. Like her, we can choose to resist the pull of resentment and instead trust God with the burdens we cannot carry alone. One of the most powerful lessons from Hannah's story is the way she prayed. She didn't share her pain with those who might misunderstand or trivialize it. Instead, she brought it to God, pouring out her soul in the way that only He could understand. We too are invited to take our pain to God. Whether we cry out loud or sit silently in His presence, He hears us. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." For the woman who chooses to trust Him, her silent prayers become a source of strength that carries her through even the darkest days. To the woman reading this, who feels unseen or misunderstood, take heart. Your silence is not a weakness. It is a strength rooted in wisdom and faith. God sees the burdens you carry and the tears you cry when no one else is watching. He understands the depth of your pain, even when you cannot find the words to describe it. Silent strength is not just about enduring pain. It is also about understanding when to release control and accept the realities of life. For a woman who carries her pain in silence, this wisdom is often at the heart of her resilience. She learns that acceptance is not surrender or passivity, but a courageous act of facing life as it is, trusting that God can work through even the most difficult circumstances. One of the clearest examples of this kind of acceptance is found in Mary, the mother of Jesus. When the angel Gabriel appeared to her, announcing that she would bear the Messiah, her life was forever changed. Mary faced the possibility of public shame, the uncertainty of her future, and the immense responsibility of raising the Son of God. Yet her response to this life-altering news was remarkably simple. "I am the Lord's servant. May your word to me be fulfilled." Luke 1:38. Mary's acceptance of her role was not the result of a lack of understanding or emotion. She fully grasped the weight of what was being asked of her, yet she chose to trust God's plan. Her quiet strength lay in her ability to surrender her own desires and fears, placing her faith in the God who had called her. This kind of wisdom is not about resignation, but about finding peace in obedience, even when the path ahead is unclear. For many women, the greatest challenge in times of pain or uncertainty is letting go of the need to control the outcome. It's natural to want to fix what's broken, to make sense of what feels chaotic, or to fight against circumstances that feel unfair. But the woman who embodies silent strength understands that not everything can be controlled or even understood. This wisdom comes with a quiet acknowledgement of life's complexities. She knows that fighting against what cannot be changed only deepens her pain. Instead, she chooses to trust in the sovereignty of God, believing that His plans are greater than her understanding. This trust doesn't eliminate her sorrow or fear, but it allows her to move forward without being consumed by them. Isaiah 55 verses 8 to 9 reminds us of this truth. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Acceptance is rooted in the belief that God's wisdom far exceeds our own, and that His purposes, though often hidden, are always good. Acceptance is often misunderstood. It is not a passive act of giving up or pretending that pain doesn't exist, nor is it a lack of ambition or desire for change. Instead, it is a deliberate choice to face reality without denying it, while trusting in God's ability to redeem even the darkest situations. A woman with this wisdom recognizes the difference between what she can control and what she must release. She chooses to focus her energy on the things within her power, her responses, her attitude, and her faith, while leaving the rest in God's hands. This kind of acceptance requires humility. It means admitting that she doesn't have all the answers, and that some questions may never be resolved in this life. It also means acknowledging her dependence on God, trusting that He will sustain her even when she feels weak. One of the unexpected gifts of acceptance is freedom. When a woman chooses to release her need for control, she is no longer burdened by the weight of impossible expectations. She finds a sense of peace, even in the midst of uncertainty, because she knows that she is not alone. This freedom allows her to live more fully in the present moment. Instead of being consumed by regrets about the past or anxieties about the future, she learns to rest in the here and now, trusting that God is at work. Mary's life again provides a powerful example of this freedom. After her initial acceptance of Gabriel's message, she didn't try to take matters into her own hands. Instead, she waited on God's timing, allowing Him to lead her step by step. Her willingness to let go of control enabled her to experience the joy of being part of His plan, even amid the challenges she faced. Acceptance also means learning to live with unanswered questions. For the woman who carries her pain in silence, this is often one of the hardest lessons to learn. She may never fully understand why certain things have happened, or why certain prayers seem to go unanswered. Yet her wisdom allows her to make peace with the mysteries of life. She doesn't demand explanations or try to force meaning where none is apparent. Instead, she rests in the knowledge that God's understanding far surpasses her own. In Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6, we are reminded to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. This trust is not always easy, but it brings a sense of security that can't be found anywhere else. The wisdom of acceptance doesn't stop with life circumstances. It also extends to the people around her. A woman with silent strength understands that she cannot control the actions or choices of others. Instead of trying to change those around her, she chooses to accept them as they are, offering grace and understanding rather than judgment. This doesn't mean she ignores harmful behavior or allows others to mistreat her, but it does mean she approaches her relationships with a spirit of humility, recognizing that everyone is on their own path. She knows that love is not about control, but about offering support and compassion, even when others fall short. This kind of acceptance can bring healing to her relationships. It creates a safe space for others to be themselves, free from the pressure of unrealistic expectations. In offering this grace to others, she reflects the love of Christ, who accepts each of us in our brokenness and calls us to grow in Him. Finally, acceptance teaches a woman the art of letting go. Life is filled with moments of loss and change. Relationships end, seasons shift, and dreams sometimes go unrealized. A woman with silent strength learns to hold her life with open hands, cherishing the blessings she has, but not clinging to them too tightly. This is not an easy lesson to learn. Letting go often involves grief and a deep sense of vulnerability, yet it also opens the door to new possibilities and allows her to trust God's provision in ways she might not have otherwise experienced. In letting go, she finds a kind of peace that the world cannot offer. She no longer wastes her energy fighting battles she cannot win or trying to control outcomes beyond her reach. Instead, she focuses on what she can do, living faithfully, loving deeply, and trusting completely. For a woman who carries her pain in silence, words are not always necessary to communicate her strength, love, or resilience. Her silence is not an absence, but a presence, one that often speaks louder than words ever could. In the quiet steadiness of her being, she shares a language that transcends verbal communication. Through her presence, gestures, and actions, she offers connection, compassion, and understanding to those around her. This silent communication carries extraordinary power, showing that the most meaningful expressions of strength and love often require no words at all. When someone is in pain or facing challenges, there is often a temptation to try to fix their problems with advice or solutions. But for the woman who carries her burdens quietly, the act of simply being present with others becomes its own ministry. She understands that sometimes the greatest comfort comes not from what is said, but from the assurance that someone is there. This ministry of presence is beautifully illustrated in the story of Job. When Job experienced unimaginable suffering, his friends initially responded with wisdom. Job 2:13 says, "Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering was. In their silence, they acknowledged the depth of Job's pain, offering their presence without trying to explain or diminish his suffering. For a woman with silent strength, her presence communicates empathy and understanding. She doesn't rush to offer solutions or explanations, recognizing that some experiences are too deep for words. Her quiet presence creates a safe space for others, allowing them to grieve, reflect, or simply be without feeling pressured to speak or explain themselves. Beyond her presence, a woman with silent strength speaks through her actions. A gentle touch on the shoulder, a warm smile, or an embrace can communicate volumes. These small gestures, though seemingly simple, carry immense weight. They say, "I see you, I'm here for you." Jesus himself often spoke through his actions. In John 13, verses 3-5, he washed his disciples' feet, a quiet but profound act of love and humility without a single spoken word. He demonstrated what it means to serve and love selflessly. In the same way, a woman with silent strength embodies her care and compassion through what she does rather than what she says. Her ability to notice the unspoken needs of others and respond with thoughtful gestures creates a connection that words alone cannot achieve. Listening is another powerful way in which a woman with silent strength communicates. She knows that truly hearing someone is more than just letting them speak. It is being fully present with them, absorbing not just their words but their tone, emotions, and unspoken needs. In a world where conversations are often filled with interruptions and distractions, her quiet attentiveness stands out. She doesn't rush to offer advice or fill the silence. Instead, she creates a space where others feel seen and valued. Her listening is a form of care, a way of saying, "You matter, and I'm here to understand you." One of the most remarkable qualities of a woman who carries pain in silence is her ability to hold space for others without needing to center herself. Because she has learned to bear her own struggles quietly, she understands the importance of creating a sanctuary for others to process their emotions. This holding of space is an act of generosity. It requires setting aside her own needs and being fully present for someone else. It is not about offering solutions or fixing problems, but about being a steady, non-judgmental presence. This kind of listening mirrors the way Jesus engaged with people. When he encountered the woman at the well in John 4, he listened to her story, drawing out her heart with gentle questions. His attentiveness allowed her to open up and experience transformation. A woman with silent strength follows this example, offering her listening ear as a gift to those who need to be heard. In moments of deep grief or hardship, words can feel inadequate. For a woman with silent strength, her presence becomes a refuge, a reminder that the person before her is not alone. She listens, offers a comforting presence, and allows others to express their feelings without fear of judgment or interruption. There is an old saying, "Actions speak louder than words." For a woman who embodies silent strength, this truth is central to how she communicates. Her love, care, and resilience are evident in how she lives, not in what she says. Consider Jesus' silence before his accusers during his trial. Isaiah 53:7 describes him as, "He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth." His silence was not weakness but strength, a deliberate choice to trust God's plan and to let his actions speak for him. In the same way, a woman with silent strength often lets her life testify to her character. She doesn't need to announce her resilience or explain her choices because her actions demonstrate who she is. Whether through her kindness, her faithfulness, or her willingness to serve others, she communicates a strength that words alone could never capture. A woman with silent strength has a calming presence. Her ability to remain steady in the face of challenges brings peace to those around her. She doesn't panic or let her emotions dictate her responses, and this calmness becomes a source of reassurance for others. Her presence can feel like a safe harbor in the storm. In her quietness, she reminds others that it's possible to face difficulties without losing hope. This kind of strength is not about denying the reality of pain, but about showing that it doesn't have to define or control us. A woman with silent strength is often deeply attuned to the needs of others. She notices what others miss, the slight change in someone's tone, the unspoken sadness in their eyes, or the tension in their body language. Her ability to sense these subtle cues allows her to offer support in ways that words never could. This sensitivity reflects a heart that is both compassionate and attentive. She doesn't wait for others to spell out their needs. Instead, she anticipates them, responding with kindness and care. Her intuition becomes a form of silent communication, a way of saying, "I see you, and I understand what you're going through." At its core, the silent strength of a woman who speaks through her presence is an act of love. It is a choice to prioritize connection over explanation, to offer understanding instead of judgment, and to let her actions communicate what words cannot. This love is not flashy or dramatic. It is quiet, steady and deeply rooted. It reflects the kind of love described in 1 Corinthians 13:7. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Through her silent strength, she bears the burdens of those around her, offering them a glimpse of the unchanging love of Christ. Finally, a woman with silent strength reminds us that there is a language beyond words, a way of connecting that doesn't rely on phrases or explanations. This language is spoken through her presence, her actions, and her quiet attentiveness. It touches the heart in ways that words never could, offering comfort, reassurance, and hope. Her strength doesn't need to be declared or recognized. It is felt in the way she lives, in the peace she brings to others, and in the love she gives without expectation. For those who know her, her silent strength becomes a source of inspiration, showing that true communication often transcends what can be spoken aloud. As we consider her silent strength, let us remember that God sees every tear, hears every unspoken prayer, and knows the burdens we carry. Her example invites us to trust Him more deeply, to love others with greater compassion, and to find peace in His promises, even when life feels overwhelming. If this message has touched your heart, I encourage you to share it with someone who might need encouragement today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and spread this word of hope to others in need. Together we can remind the world of God's love and grace. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you and sustain you eternally.